What's going on, everyone? Woo, it was a long weekend. It was a long time, but don't worry, the markets are open and crypto never slept. Though it kind of went up and down. Didn't do that much in the end, did it? We've got a big show tonight. Get ready, get those likes or possibly dislikes ready in the chat, and I'm ready. Let's get into it, guys. Intro first. All right, welcome everyone to the stream. I hope you're having a great Tuesday and you had a great long weekend. There's a lot to cover. Has anyone seen gold recently? It's looking golden here. I'm cold, but it's gold. Look at the breakout and as we speak, the power in this metal. And it's doing some things that I guess I would say is pretty amazing. When you think about breaking past the previous resistances, is that a key thing to do? Absolutely it is. Breaking this resistance, and then breaking this resistance. Welcome to the community. This is the area that we were targeting. We've obviously got through 1800. It started powering on. 8-hour closure above, one of my favorite time frames for gold, is powering. Then we go down to something like a 4-hour. It's pushed through as well, of course. 2050 cross. I mean, is it looking really, really fantastic for gold? Well, I think this opens up quite a few different advantages that people have in gold trading. Number one, we break out on the daily and close above it, above the 20. Look at this. Significant movement. Now, if that occurs, do we think that this is bullish for gold? Yes. Do we then look for pullbacks potentially into the moving averages? Yes. As a smart TA trader or just a smart investor in general, you always want to be looking for that cheaper price. You know, we want the cheap. We don't want the expensive. You know, for Americans, you go to Sam's Club sometimes. You know, you just want, I don't actually know what Sam's Club is, but I assume it's the cheapest store. Sometimes you just got to go down to Sam's Club. You got to get the discounts. In Australia, we would use the Aldi. You don't want everything at the Aldi, but you want a few good objects. Hopefully, gold does play the game. So we've got resistance, series of high lows coming in. We suspected something was afoot last week with this trash over here when it occurred. And at this stage, it is bulling through. But there's a lot of cover in this show, and gold is only just one part of the plan. Miles Savage says, will gold pull back to the resistance? Your guess is as good as mine. But yeah, being patient pays. Being patient pays. Luca Perry says, I hate Vegemite. It is an acquired taste. You know, if you shop at Aldi, think about the savings that you could make to invest in your stocks, in your gold, in your cryptos. Amazing stuff. You know, I think that's funny about the youngest generation right now. There's all these like how to live off $1 a day. I love that stuff. Sam's Club equals Costco. Oh, we have Costco. Costco's good, but Costco's not cheap. It's like premium, pretty good stuff at not the cheapest price. There ain't no cheapness in Costco. It's like some things are like, you know, it's good, but you've got to buy too much of it. And I love Costco. But yeah. All right, let's see what everyone else is saying here. Chinese stocks going down. Yes, they unfortunately, the meddling government. They're getting involved in our trades, guys. And unfortunately, that is never that good. Now, a lot of you will probably ask this question. I think, first I'm going to zoom in a lot today so you guys can see this more clearly. It should be sharper, should be better. I hope it is. So, dollar index is going up. You know, 4 hours is strengthened. And you might say, well, how's gold going up? Dollar index is going up. Does that even make any sense? Well, the dollar index is doing its own thing, as we know. But I think most of it's got to do with this 10-year. So we go over to the 10-year, and this is at the critical point this week. And I think we need to focus on this hard. If you're not looking at the 10-year, start to pay attention to it. This is making a series of lower highs. We saw some make or break situations last week with the jobs report, and we have heaps to cover here today. And what's happening is the 10-year, we know the US 100, the Nasdaq, it hates that 10-year. It's like, no. If the 10-year goes up, the Nasdaq goes down, theoretically. So if this one breaches this zone, it closes below, it's going to be incredibly significant, I believe, over the next coming weeks. But I will warn you guys, and I think we have to have a discussion about this, the time is coming. Let's have a look at a comparison between the two markets. Do I have one open? I probably don't. Did I get it ready? Did I prep for the stream? Not that well. I want to show you side by side the markets right now. And I don't care if you don't like stocks, if you're a crypto trader, we're going to cover it soon. But this is good TA, and we need to recognize key zones when we've got them. And the community, together, we have come up with some of the best zones, I believe, in the markets. So here's the QQQ. Basically, it's the Nasdaq, yeah? Let's just zoom this out a little bit here so you can see it. I've got both trend lines, so you guys know where they are. This trend line, I don't believe, is anywhere good as this one at the top. This is uninterrupted trend line, remember, is good. So let's say we hit that point over here. And at the same time, we hit our community trend line, which has been going strong and successfully now for many, many moons. And I'm going to explain why I think this could actually all turn around relatively soon. All we need out of the S&P 500 is figuratively probably around 2 to 3% to hit this trend line. Now imagine if we hit this 2 to 3% trend line and at the same time the Nasdaq goes up to 3% as well. It makes sense. It could happen in a week. Would we start to worry about this market? I mean, let's put it in perspective. I've got lines. Let's get rid of that for a second. Let's start to put it in perspective here for a second. Let's go to the weekly. So imagine we hit the top of this trend line and at the same time, we hit the top of this ascending range. They both synchronize together. Would you be a bearish person at that point, or would you be insane and thinking, to the moon, we're going? Guys, get aboard right now because we're about to send this thing into space. I think you've got to be very, very careful around this zone. And this is the beauty of TA. What you're doing is you're putting together multiple bits of information. We know bonds are firing right now. We're going to take a look at the 20-year today because things are getting interesting. It's not as easy as just saying, oh, I'm going to buy all the market like we've been doing now for a month and a bit. We did it in April. We did it in June. We knew May sucked. We know July is strong statistically. For anyone that's new to the stream, why is July strong? Let's have a quick look here at the graph. Where did I put it? Best month of the year. Statistically, over 100 years, July. People are sick of this chart, but it's important. And when we're considering what we're going to do, we're going to have to be very, very careful. Is this the time to start loading new trades that aren't, or loading investments? Chat, what do you think? Is this the time you'd be loading investments, or is this the time you would be nimble, you'd be quick, and you wouldn't get caught? So Shal Suma says, bearish, bankers want their August holidays. Mr. Murray says, space to the moon. Nah, just kidding. Yeah, I said space, and it was a joke at the SPCE. Don't worry about that. You know I hate that thing. SPCE. Oh, my goodness. Jay Bravo's in the house. Good to have you, Jay Bravo, and all of the normal community members. 750 of you already joining us for this Tuesday open stream. Let's see what people say. Nimble and quick, says Ray Lim. Agree. Loading those puts, baby, says NU for life. Truly Messiah says, yes, load it up. Truly Messiah, he just never stops. He's just buying the dip all the way through. And then a few people saying quick trade, just be quick. Nvidia short after split, most likely Monty. It seems very likely that Nvidia has run into it. So we've got this data. We know that July is good. We know June knocked it out of the ballpark in many sectors. Hopefully you did well during that period. Let's talk about probably one of the most concerning graphs. And this is obviously the Burry graph that he's been rubbiting on about. And look, Michael Burry is always early. Okay? That's his game plan. He calls it early, and I want you to know straight away, I don't believe any of them. Okay? They are all salespeople. What do we know about Michael Burry? He has bet on inflation. Yeah? He's bet on inflation. Do you think, chat, that Michael Burry has positions loaded towards the short in the market? What do you guys think? Do you believe Michael Burry has potentially got positions shorting in the market? Maybe we already know he does. The thing with the discussion on the markets is it's really important to stay ahead of the game. What did I notice over the weekend? I was browsing around. I was trying to stay away from the markets, but I can't help myself. And I was browsing around on the FinViz. I was looking at some of the articles. You know what they told me? It's one of the best times ever to buy the market. Top hedge fund manager says best time to buy the market, still more room to grow by the end of the year. These are the articles coming out. About a month ago, bubble. It's scary. Now, euphoria is hitting the game, and this is where euphoria really shows. The data shows us euphoria. Leverage, 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 leverage. This is the most important pre-indicator that we can really be looking at the market. And this fact, I agree with Michael Burry, it always has been true. When people, well, remember, there's only two emotions in the market. Super greedy people that FOMO everywhere, probably most of us, and then super fearful people that get scared and don't buy the dip. All right? That's really only the two emotions. You got the greedy and you got the fear. Even Warren Buffett would agree with that. What does this chart over here, I think I've got it up maybe a little bit better. Where did I put it? Put it on the Twitters. Follow FX Evolution on Twitter if you want to check it out. Let's go over the Twitters for a second. Where are we? How do I use the Twitters, guys? Here we go. So this is a better chart. This is maybe a little bit bigger here for you. So this is the leverage, and I want to just talk about this. It'll probably be in tomorrow's video. This is leverage spiking into the 2000 crash. This is leverage spiking into the 2007 into 2008 financial crisis. This is leverage admittedly going up over time, and this is an important fact. And then this is the significant leverage and outpacing of the market with leverage that has just occurred. Now, what I believe is if you search the term on literally any Google page right now, and you search options, what do you think has had a massive explosion? I love options, but what have you all started doing? I know you have recently. Have you been starting options in the last couple of months, guys? Chat, tell me honestly, have you been doing that? Because if you have, and if your friends are all saying, oh, I love options. Options are the best, man. Why haven't we been in options for a while? I don't know. 10x leverage, that sounds amazing. The thing with options is it means that leverage is entering hard into the market, and Wall Street prey on that incredible amount of leverage. So we're going to have to continue to watch this chart, and I believe that if we hit those technical analysis levels, look, am I going to pick the tippity top? No. But do I believe that there's going to be some concerns if we get to these levels? Absolutely. And have I been a massive optimist for April? For May? For June? Absolutely I have. Why wouldn't we be a massive optimist? It makes statistical sense. But it also makes sense to go faster and harder on this market right now. Shoot it up after the jobs report, which we'll talk about again soon. And then hit these levels. And then get out and just crush those options. Crush all the calls. Get them out. Mike says, I don't use options or leverage. Okay, Mike. Conscious says, yep. Giddy says, yep. No options. Yes, lol, says Monica. Maybe, says Trio. That means absolutely. Trio is full. He's fully filled with options everywhere. Draw in another color, says Mr. Murray. The yellow is tough on the white background. All right, sir. I'll use pink next time for you. Or blue. Mike says, never trust the media. Trust the community and do your own research especially. Exactly that one, man. You got to do your own research whenever possible. Miles Savage says, Tom, Amazon had the highest weekly close last week. Could be making upward facing weekly wedge. Yeah, look, I think all of the big FANG stocks had incredible breakouts. We've talked about Apple. In fact, let's just load up. We'll talk about this one soon. Nasty barber. But there's so much to talk about, guys. I want to kind of follow the general trend here. I want to go through the general markets and what we're seeing, and then I want to talk about the fang stocks and obviously all our favorites, the crypto and everything else. I've got to do it. I've got to go through this. So on the Monday Hangout, which I do with the private community, I kind of mentioned some of these things. But another one that I want to bring up here, and I've mentioned it already in the Hangout, is the bonds. Now, weirdly enough, based on this bond chart, I would almost say that the trough, the peak, the higher trough, and the higher peak, you could almost argue that bonds are looking more attractive. This is the 20-year bonds, treasury bonds, more attractive than the stock market itself. Can you believe that I would say such a thing? These nasty bonds, like people think, oh, bonds are so safe, they're so great. Well, I've got another story for you. When you lose 22% in bonds because you have mistimed bonds, you cry because these things suck. They suck, guys. You get paid nothing. As we know, you get paid absolutely nothing for holding them, and the bond gets crushed on face value, and look at what happens to it. But there are specific times throughout history where bonds actually crush the stock market over a period. Now, let's just talk about what those periods were. Why is it that in 2011, remember, 2011, we've been talking about this 11-period rotation. Why is it that bonds actually performed relatively well for that little period of time? Interesting. The bond market is actually usually not wrong. The bond market is more accurate than usually the stock market itself in trying to figure out the next move in the market. There's a lot of money in here, and there's a lot of money to be made and lost. And these bond managers, they get paid a lot of money to do what they do. So let's consider we've broken through this level. And, I think that's pretty significant. Let's consider we're moving up to here. So we've got another, couple of percentage here. What's this telling us about the market? Well, again, I think people are starting to there's a big change between this inflation, deflation kind of concept. And I think the bonds are trying to tell us that. The bonds are saying, well, you all talk about inflation, you all talk about this. We're going to go the opposite way for now. And at least into this daily 200, I think the bond market is going to try to get there. The 20 years are going to try to get there, and there will be some money. If money's starting to pack into this, then potentially there's less money that'll be going to the stock market as hedge fund managers prepare to dominate that leverage for a little while. Maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 15%. Now, we haven't talked about the bearish side in a while. We're not necessarily there yet, but we need to be very, very agile. And I think that's one of the things that I want to get through. So bond market's interesting. 10-year yield, if you're not watching them, it's time to start switching into watching them. And of course, the community trend lines, they're key levels. They are key levels. PCC, not too ridiculous yet. So the PCC is the put-call ratio. Let's actually just load the PCC up. Have a quick look at that. Put-call ratio, important to always look at. Let's go over to the line chart. So one of the things that you're looking for put-call ratio is it's not so much whether you have a huge amount of puts in the market, because you don't really want that. For a market to pull back and get destroyed, you generally want really low amounts of puts. So you want tons of calls and no puts. Because when everyone's buying calls, that is a good sign that the market is about to have a correction. That's how we use it. It's an opposite kind of thing. So you can see here that we've had this 0.661, and we've actually been continuously kind of finding that in June and specifically near the end. See how we started hovering around here? I'll be honing in on this quite a lot on the channel over the next couple of weeks. I'll be watching this put-call ratio very closely. Now, I don't expect it to get back up here. If it gets up here, the chance that the market crashes or even falls off at all becomes less likely. Because the market ultimately doesn't want to pay out any of these things. If everyone's fearful in the market and they're loading up on puts, the market won't fall down. If everyone's feeling euphoric and greedy and they're loading up on calls, the market has a higher chance of falling. Because, of course, they want to expire all of those worthless AMC and GME traders. You guys should know this better than anyone else. Notice the most popular strikes recently in AMC and GME. The market goes like this. And the call is here. Here's my little calls. Everyone's happy. They're like, yeah, I'm going to make money. And it expires. and then everyone whinges on Wall Street bets. This is where people whinge. It's unfortunate, but it's true. They don't want to give you your money. Why would they? You're all here with your calls. The market gets you near them, and then it giveth and it taketh away. So yeah, PCC will be another one of the things that we watch throughout the next couple of weeks. So we've got our trend lines. We're going to keep honing in on those. We've got our bonds. We've got our US 10-year. We know the dollar index is uncharacteristically moving up. We know gold's starting to fire here as well, which is traditionally a little bit of a hedge against, some corrections, though. You'd be surprised how correlated gold is actually with the stock market. Often the stock market will fall, gold will fall as well. The dollar index usually bulling is better sign there. And yeah, they're all moving in some synchronization, which is starting to tell me that some money flow is coming out of the market. We know volume's down. Now, I don't treat that bad, but yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on there. We have a donation coming in here. Knock knock. Super chat $2.99. Getting it started. Thank you very much. Hashtag breaking. AMC scraps its 25 million share offering. Okay. They scrapped it, did they? Got rid of that nasty share offering, which is sent pre-market up 3.46%. So the support seems to be holding for now. We're going to open about 53.76. Remember, 20 moving average and this level here is all important for AMC holders. So you must hold here, knock knock. And if you don't, $40 could be in order. I think a closure underneath this 20, it will most likely create the fear, and the fear will lead to, of course, the $40 range. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate that. Also appreciate all the subscribers coming in. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. It's great to have you on board as we move towards creating the best community on the internet, guys, which we're already doing, to be honest. We're getting it done right now. So US 100, US 500. We'll look at the smaller time frames soon. But in today's action, we've got some bullishness coming out in the US 100. Let's have a look at the Webull scanner just for a second here. Not really looking at anything in particular, but let's have a look here what stocks are moving up. So you can see Nvidia again. What an animal, 828. No doubt there's problems in this stock when it actually does split. My goodness, the retail community loves this one so much. We've got Zscaler. We've got semiconductors, which we started talking about last week. Semiconductors started firing. For anyone in the room, you guys would know that. And what else have we got here? We got anything else that's interesting? From the downside, we've got Baidu down 2.91%. That's pretty brutal. And some of the other Chinese stocks are in there as well. Look, Barber actually had some recovery throughout the end of the day. We'll talk about that soon. But yeah, in general, I think just a whole bunch of the bigger tech stocks, things like the Apples and stuff, are starting to move up. And this is going to be the main driver of the Nasdaq for the next little bit here. You can see here, Apple only up 0.21% this morning. But look at this. High, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Breach of a key level last week. And now do we go really hard? Do we go to like a 160 potentially for Apple? That takes us into the top of our trend range. Everything starts firing like that. It goes a little bit euphoric into like what we call an excess phase. And then we see maybe a back end July, August, where we hit all the trend lines and weakness starts to come in. That's what I'm looking for and what we're really focusing on the channel. Because if the FANG stocks push us through, that's cool. I don't care how we get there, but we need to get to those key levels. And when we get there, the faster we get there, the more convinced I am of a semi-sharp kind of pullback in the markets overall. So Apple does look pretty strong here on the charts. You can see the big bullish aggression that's come through. Pullbacks back to something like the 136 or the 137, 138 should be met by some kind of buyer demand, you would think. And it's certainly firing on all the cylinders, similar to Amazon and others. Definitely. W. Diggs coming in with a $4.99 donation. Says VACQ, please. We'll check it out very, very soon, for sure. Greg Hartman says, Tom, been killing it swinging MRIN, made 40K last week. Congratulations, man. Up 3K already in the pre-market. That's awesome, Greg. Hopefully you've been doing it a replicatable way, man. feel free to send me one of your charts. Let's see if you've been doing it in a replicatable way. It's really important that when you're making that kind of money, which is awesome, and congratulations, that you're doing it in such a way that you know you can consistently do that kind of thing. Like, you might not always see MRIN's opportunity, but what you might see is something else that you can apply that to and have some success. So hopefully that does come in. Tesla traders, I'll just quickly mention here because I know we have a lot of Tesla fans before we go over to the crypto market and do those donations. This is a torrid time for you guys. I said this on Twitter. Imagine if you breached 700 now. You have a rejection wick. You have a rejection wick. And you have a rejection wick. Now, what OPEC did, and I think this is one of the most important things for Tesla traders moving forward, is actually going to be watching oil price. Because I believe that oil price is going to really impact the way that electric cars are taken up across the world. If oil prices remain really high, let's say they go 76 into the 80, into the 90 bracket. Let's just say that happens, and it breaches 76 and that happens. Then will that create more adoption into electric cars? I would say yes, at a faster rate. So oil prices being high is going to be a friend of Tesla, I think. And with OPEC not coming to an agreement, not limiting the barrels, which they will do, mark my words, they'll do it, guys. They're not called OPEC, and they don't have little summits where they chat about oil prices for nothing. They will eventually create an artificial demand that's there. There's demand there, and then they will slam it with supply when they feel like it, and it will dominate oil price. But at this point, 700 closure above is going to be the Tesla best friend, and unfortunately underneath this line here, 671, so probably 670, a closure underneath that is going to signal back into the 20, which I think will fill this gap and get us back to the 650 bracket. So you've got to be very careful. I don't like either of these zones in Tesla. I don't like the support here, and I don't like the resistance here, but I like the breaks on either side. I think they make a lot of sense when you're looking at the chart. I think they really do. So let's go over to BTC. BBTC. What to say, guys? Crypto traders, you're having a tough time of it. So a lot of people are arguing right now about, what this is doing and whether this is in some kind of spring, and, Wyckoff's coming into it again. Everyone loves talking about Wyckoff now. I'll show you a Wyckoff if you want to see one on Australian stock, because it's there right now. But there is, of course, a peak, a trough, a higher peak, a higher trough, and no higher peak currently in this market. And it's kind of struggling. This morning it looked pretty good here in Australia. We were sitting at 35,000, and then it just continuously gets beaten down. If we go to something like a 2-hour chart, does it look terrible? It's just really tough. It's got noise all over it. And when you've got like a noisy market like this, it really only constitutes scalp. If you're scalping and you find little opportunity, you say, I think a breach up here is going to here or something like that, and you take those trades, fair enough. But to swing trade this market right now, incredibly tough. And you need to recognize, the market that you're in. Generally, as a rule, if a market crashes 20%, okay, you do not swing trade it. You do not swing trade it, because what will happen is it'll go into accumulation, which is effectively where we're at now in BTC. We're in accumulation. We're in a giant big range between kind of like that 29,000, 30,000 level and the 41, 42 level. And until we breach out of that range, we have to be nimble and quick. Where is Bitcoin going over the next 24 hours? I don't know. All I know is that the weekly still is holding up with very nice rejection candles, which is showing us that there are bulls here. Nasty whales are here. Volume is dropping as well, which could signal that people are starting to hodl it up and there's less trade going on. I don't blame people for doing less trade. It's a crappy market right now. Why would you trade? And it is certainly improving. I'm looking for at least a breach of 36 to get us to the 38. And of course, we want that 20 moving average and wherever that lies. Whether it's 40, 41, 42, we need to start breaching this level here to really know that this whole the winter of Bitcoin is over and it can start recovering. Ethereum, a little bit better on Ethereum chart. You look at the weekly, actually looks better. Go to the daily, actually looks better. Go to the 2 hour because we'll probably see a breach out soon. Here is the 2 hour. And this chart looks a little bit better than the Bitcoin chart. You could almost argue as well that you've got like a little trend line that's coming in here for Ethereum. Much, much better series of higher lows. And it all comes down to really this 2400. Breaches this. Next stop, 2600. So I think Ethereum presents a lot better. I think ADA, Cardano presents a lot better. And of course, if XRP eventually gets past that 68 cents again, that presents a lot better. Hiro Haskawa says, greed and fear index is telling us fear is strong at the moment. And of course, if fear is strong at the moment, Hiro, what does that mean? The market is greedy. So if fear is strong, the market is often quite greedy. I think that fear index, by the way, I think it's showing the wrong kind of sentiment at this point. Vionoob does not like the Wyckoff. Does not like the Wyckoff. Kevin N says BTC is pinned under the 30 DMA, could easily break down from here. I think weekly will show us the true breakout of Bitcoin. Remember, weekly currently on most of these cryptos, especially Bitcoin, continues to tell us that there is bullish pressure here. Bullish buyers everywhere all over the Bitcoins. There is huge amounts of buyers at this point. All right, we'll have to go into some of these super chats. Thank you very much for sending them through, guys. And again, I hope you had a great long weekend, America. Obviously, Independence Day, pretty amazing stuff. And yeah, what else did I want to go through in here? Not much. We've got a lot of stocks to cover today, though. A lot of stocks. I think that probably ends our main section at the start, which is where we talk about the markets, though. We've got gold firing at this stage. We have dollar index kind of doing its own little thing. Not great trading in dollar index. And really, the story is trend lines for the market to hit and to watch all of those big sentiment keys. Margin, trend line, crazy PCC ratio, put call ratio. They're the ones that we want to focus on. All right, let's do VACQ and get started here with these. So VACQ from WDIGS, Vector Acquisition. Relatively new, it looks like. Not sure if this was a SPAC. Ugh, the word SPAC. Big movement last week. Oh, from the TA perspective, it's always tough on these, man. And the reason why is you don't have much data and they're generally not huge companies. So here you can see, and this is why I partly changed the layout here a little bit this morning, $455 million. So $455 million. It's not a huge, big stock or SPAC or whatever it is. We did breach the resistance, which was over here. So we can put probably a horizontal line there. And we could always say that if you breach this kind of level, usually pickups should occur through that. We did see that bullish kind of hammer come through, then a huge movement up. I can only assume this is chitter chatter on some web page out there, whether it's stock tweets, whether it's Wall Street bets, whether it's, I don't know what else it could be. This is not really a prime candidate, though, for thinking, oh, this is great TA levels. It's very, very tough. I mean, is there any moving average that you can look at? I would say like maybe this 1 hour 20. So maybe it goes up a little bit here off the 1 hour 20, 1 hour 20 closure, 1 hour 20 closure, buy. There isn't much more than that. Find out what this volume's caused by. And then after that, if you're looking for kind of profit levels, I mean, you can see, of course, the $12. And then the next one's around 13. The next one after that's about 15 and 14. Good luck, WDIGS. That's really all we can do. John Moore, $5. Can you do NYC and comment on urban commercial REITs in this phase of the cycle recovery in general? Oof. Urban commercial REITs. Wow. It's a really, really tough question, man. Look, commercial, wow. What the? Is that real? What is this? Is that actually the correct chart? That is super bizarro. Look, the problem with commercial or REITs in property in general is they're specific often to that particular state in the country, and you've got to understand the current dynamics of what industries are growing, what industries aren't, and then you've got to position yourself in the correct REITs for that. A great example in the US would be, I can't remember the name of the city or town, but there's a specific town in the US where everyone has all their cloud storage. And basically, the commercial properties there have skyrocketed. So it's like cloud storage warehouses, amazing investments, and a really big brain idea, I must say, to invest in those types of ones. Cloud storage, what happened? It grew at an exponential, massive rate last year. People, they need more storage, they need more ability for the warehousing, and that has led to incredible demand and incredible rents. And the price is through the roof. And it's just that big brain type of thinking. The actual market crashed it. The market pushed it down while the industry was growing at an exponential rate. So it's amazing to think about that. This chart here, I don't know what the hell's going on with it. And unfortunately, I can't comment on it. It's just not my area of expertise. You've got to go and understand the state, the work labor, everything like that, the businesses that are doing well, and then focus and target that section. So, John, unfortunately, that's the best I can do for you there. Knock, knock, $2.99. WB Weibo up huge in the pre-market. Let's have a look. Weibo. Isn't that like Facebook in China? Decent recovery in terms of the stock itself. Let's scroll down here. I mean, maybe this bodes well for some of the other Chinese stocks. 63.17. I don't know what other businesses they're in because I don't know the business that well. But yeah, that's nice to see. 62.20 up 14.53%. Breached a little bit of consolidation last week. Very nice. Not bad at all. Actually, it was completely bucking the trend. Would have been a good one to have on. Straight into resistance early. So the pre-market's going to push into resistance. The problem with that is it can easily drop a lot of this percentage. So don't go chasing this type of thing. Whenever you see like a 12% up in a day, you've got to just say, damn, I missed it. Getting on to that. Now, I know meme stocks, you guys are used to, I'm getting on board, and then by the end of the day, it's up 80%. But the problem with that is it's not the truth in most stocks. When you go and trade a stock and it's up 20% in the pre-market, you don't want to jump in on that FOMO, then you get crushed. And it's a hard lesson to learn. It's very tough to sit on the sidelines and say, I missed it, when your friend's like, I made 5%. Are you a noob? That's what they say. Are you stupid? It was easy. It was up 20% in the morning. I went on board. I jumped in on the train. And I was successful. Well, the problem is it's not always like that. If it's coming into a resistance in the pre, that's usually a good sign that it's kind of hitting or topping out early. And then, of course, you could also expect something like maybe a pullback to a 55 or something here on Weibo. But nice spot there, knock, knock. And it is up huge. It's into the resistance almost very, very early. Ulrich Nielsen, Super Chat DKK $20. Thoughts on SSE/China stocks in general? No worries, man. Let's have a look through all of these stocks. So we'll do this one first. Shanghai Composite first. Okay. So my thoughts on the Shanghai Composite really haven't changed. I'm looking for a 36.50 weekly close above, and I believe that will still instigate a decent demand. Now, you got a lot of problems coming out of China. You've obviously got the debt coming out of there, the discussion, they just bailed. The state just bailed another company today. You can look it up on Google if you want to. It's a big deal. The corporate debt section is a big issue. It has been for 5 years, I think, and everyone's always discussed it. The thing is, though, the government seems to be coming in and relatively supporting it. This whole Didi thing is certainly not great for the tech stocks in the Chinese market, because it creates instability. I'm sure that will be smoothed out very, very soon, and it will hopefully start to move forward. We've got resistance, support here in the Shanghai Comp. I'm looking for this level here to be breached. Is this a level of support? Yes. When this market fires, though, it fires like nothing else. If we go to something like a month, you can see it clearly here. This level is the real deal. In fact, it's so much of a real deal. Look at these two rejection monthlies. And this market can go when the rest of the markets around the world are not going. There are growth concerns here, but there are also, relatively speaking, cheaper tech stocks than, of course, in the US. And there is a level that can happen. And when the fire starts coming, it starts coming. Some of my concerns, Tencent. Look at this chart. If I was to show you great technical analysis people out there in the community, does this chart look good? No, it really doesn't. Do I like this company? I think it's a beast of acquisition. But when you think about it, it's been making a series of lower highs pretty much the whole way down here. It's just breached under 570 and it's kind of hovering in this area. Now, I hope it's a false breakout and it comes back up and we all go fine and dandy back up here. But that's not really the reality of what we're seeing right now. And that's the unfortunate component, I guess. Yeah, Ty. I see your comments. Yeah, you're welcome. He's welcome on. He's got it. We're gonna eventually. We're making new highlights. And then when we go from there, we're good. W Dig says I meant Sophie. Okay. Maybe we'll have a look at that soon. Yeah, that's definitely not the exact. The one you gave me, which is VACQ, is a bit different from Sophie. We'll check that out soon. So 700, 10 cent, not looking so good. Let's have a look at BABA in the actual Hong Kong market. Let's go 9988. If you're not sure, they use crazy numbers over there instead of the ticker codes. Pretty impressive stuff if you remember all these numbers. So here's where I think we may have misstepped a little bit with BABA. And it's a cautionary tale, actually. And this is that we shouldn't trade BABA probably based on the market in the US. We should probably trade it based on the technicals in the country's stock exchange, okay? So we might want to go BABA, Hong Kong or something like that. Like say for an example here, if we were trading Rio or BHP, we'd probably want to stick with Rio and BHP, which are Australian iron ore miners, in the Australian market. The American market, which it does trade in as well, and it's synergized together, of course, tends to give false signals when compared to this one. Now, am I concerned? I think BABA had a really good, strong close in the day. It's going to be down here in the US early, but it did have a really good, strong close into the end of the day. That's good. It is on a base, so 200 is incredible support here. Look at this 200. Boom, boom. We also know that, yes, the double bottom did breach out, and only this lower peak over here was the problem. And that sucks, because if we breached this, I believe 240 would have occurred. But in this market, which is arguably the more important one to be looking at, it didn't quite happen. So I just hope that volume comes back into it. BABA is at right kind of zone, and the same with the rest of the Chinese stocks. This whole government getting involved in them is never a positive sign, and we'll have to just see how that plays out over the next week. But the Shanghai comp will be the number one thing we look at. BABA is buy BABA HK, says Truly Messiah. Interesting. BABA found resistance at the 100 MA, says Britsu. Look, you can usually find some moving average that'll find resistance and support out. I don't mind the 100. The 100 is used in, most of the banks do use 100 as well. We obviously use 20, 50, and 200 for a reason. I don't want too many. If you get too many, then you've always got excuses. These are just the ones that we've found. So Ulrich, I'm not negative on this market, but I don't think that the participation phase that a lot of people were looking for after the double bottom broke out, which is totally fair, has come into play. And when we look at BABA in the US, check this out. New York Stock Exchange. It's a totally different looking chart. I mean, it's the same concept, but instead of having these series of lower peaks over here, this is the one that it traded off. So it looked like that during the Hong Kong market. And it's a little different. And that's the problem. It's that little subtle difference that makes all the difference to being able to say, we're through the madness, we've breached above, we get a pullback into this 2 moving averages, and then suddenly we fire. It's only down 1% in the pre-market, and hopefully it can start to turn around relatively soon. I hope it can. People want SPCE and Baidu. Yeah, we'll check those out soon. Is there Wyckoff in Amazon based on the daily chart? Let's have a look. Check out Amazon for you. So you're wondering, is there Wyckoff? People look for Wyckoff everywhere now. Wyckoff is kind of just like a channel. Just remember that. So a channel pattern is effectively, all it is you take the distance and then you extrapolate that distance out, and A equals B. And of course, the idea of Wyckoff is really, it's more about market tops and market bottoms, in my opinion. So like you get like a top after a big move, and this would be distribution, and then of course it would crash underneath. You would get that false breakout. I'll show you a good example in a minute. And then in in Bitcoin at the moment, you had that first section, which was the distribution, and now you've got probably a good example of accumulation. I would treat this just like a channel. Now, that being said, if you saw it breach this zone up here, and then it started coiling like a spring like above here, do I think that's negative? No. Once that breaks out, it's more than likely going to have some very big, forceful move in it. So if we break down Amazon here, the biggest thing to do is go to the weekly, have a look at the weekly close, and that is the highest weekly close on record ever. Look at that weekly. The highest weekly close on record. Pretty significant stuff. Let's have a look at some other big stocks in the US. Let's have a look at Google for a second. Let's go over to Alphabet. Now, you might say also, why is this happening? I saw the jobs number it looked good. Do you guys think the jobs number was good? That's the US jobs number. Yes or no? Does the community think it was good on Friday? What do you guys think? Also, welcome to 1,370 viewers. Thank you very much for joining us here. Tuesday market open. A lot to uncover. I've actually just got to do one change here. Google breakout, no doubt. Daily break above. Could fire for the distance of the range. Distance of the range kind of starts to predict in this type of movement. I think the biggest thing for these FANG stocks is this whole idea of centralized taxation, where all the countries come together and they say, no more loopholes, Mr. Google. No more loopholes, Mr. Microsoft, Mr. Apple, Mrs. Apple, whatever you want to say. It's actually probably better than the market expected taxation to be. I also think that those jobs numbers are just crappy enough to allow the Fed to not be able to do anything. Let's see what people say. They say no, no, no. Joey B says yes, but it was no. It was all mostly lower paying jobs. Mr. Murray says no, not based on your analysis, government and hospitality. Yeah, so it was basically, look, we always expected it to be government and hospitality. The market would have as well, but there were some hidden undertones. Firstly, unemployment level actually didn't really drop, did it? You can see there that it was actually 5.9% and actually rose a little bit. The second thing that happened is if you dig a little bit deeper into those jobs and stuff, when you think about it, there's a huge amount of jobs listing. There's also a huge amount of jobs that are not being taken up. Now, that could be a skill set shortage. It could be all sorts of things. But there's clearly these little underlying niggles in the economy. And these are the things that people are going to really focus on over the next couple of months. The economists are going to look at that. So remember, we've always said this, slightly bad news is a massive tick for the economy when the Fed is relatively supporting it. Because what can't they do? They can't taper effectively. And when they can't taper effectively, what does that do? Growth stocks, yeehaw! If we have lowering interest rates, as in the 10 years coming down, we're talking about deflation potentially again. That's the new discussion point. It's going to fire these through. So really nice stuff coming through here for the FANG stocks. Google, movement up. That's a breach. It could move now to like a 26.20. Of course, pullback should be met by hopefully buyer demand as well. All of these stocks still firing. Jassa says, Tom, Baba moves with the US, not the other way. I mean, I haven't studied the chart on Baba. I've got to say, I don't usually buy the Chinese stocks. I usually just buy a big basket of them if I want to target it. And then I just grab the whole thing. Because I usually trade. If I was trading it, I'd be looking more at the Shanghai comp than anything else. Just because for me, or like, something like this, looking at the market and then seeing that participate and then jumping in. That's the type of thing that I look at. Echo Aurora, super chat at $5. TA on Snap, please. Also, one of the viewers made impressive returns on Mirren. How would anyone TA that? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at MRIN. MRIN. That is true. How would anyone TA that? I don't know this one. Technology data services. Yeah, that's unTA-able realistically. I mean, maybe you're on a 15-minute chart. I guess, look, really basic human psychology. You can get lucky here where, it closes through, breaches, you sell, it pulls back to a zone. So you can see here, it's almost $20. Comes back to like a 15. You buy at 15, let's say, sell at 20, goes up higher, or you sell at 25. So there's no TA here so much, but there is every $5 counts kind of mentality. So right now it's pre-market 27.29, up 34%. Because it's a squeezy kind of a squeezy McCheesy, it's going probably up to 30. It's going to have a go just before that, and then sellers will come in. This is not really TA. It's basic human psychology, and people can do well there. But I think you need to make sure that you prepare yourself to probably protect your positions as much as possible. Let's now do Snap for you. Yeah, that's some tough TA. Let's have a look at Snap. So I think you've liked Snap Eka for a few days, and I think you were correct with your analysis. You obviously were looking for a closure above this line. I think you liked it around $59, which is totally fair. So you've seen some nice movement. You've got that breach out, and you know that there should be a targeted level, similar to the other tech stocks right now, which is take the range, extrapolate it out, and you come up with an all-time high for Snap. It makes sense. You've got a series of decent movements here. You've got nice breach out. You've got a nice level of resistance forming through that 69 kind of 30 zone. So we can put that down there right now. And you know what? You get a little breach out here. What's going to happen? Little buyers will come in on the day, on the movement, and they'll start pushing it up. So there's nothing really wrong with your analysis of Snap so far. You've got the 2 hour here, 1 touch 20. 2 touches 20, 3 touches 20, 4 touches 20. So is that going to be a good little indicator as you start to move through? Hopefully it will be for you. Welcome 1,400 viewers now. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for giving us a couple of likes as well. If you haven't, please consider doing so. It does help us out. That'd be sweet. Madeline says we need to look at Nike. Yeah, we will soon. Tom W says any validity into buying the bad news like AHT, Diddy, TME. Seems like it caused a spike in message boards, which brings attention back from retail and possible squeeze. We're in a totally different time now. So I think that the biggest issue is you are correct. We're in a message board, social arb, social experiment, where everyone's jumping in on these types of things. So maybe the best thing we can do is to have a look at Diddy. Now, I don't even know what Diddy's code is. Is it just Diddy? Yeah. So this is down 20%. It was down more before. Ugh. IPOs. IPOs, guys. Don't touch the IPOs. If you get in before, praise the first 24 to 48 hours, where you will become rich. And then, it's like coin, yeah? You're starting to get my point. Look at Snap, look at Twitter, look at Facebook, look at Uber, look at anything. Snowflake. IPOs are terrible, 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 terrible. After day 1, after day 2, something like that. So we're looking at 1239. Look, I think the reality is they'll sort it out. Probably. I mean, I don't see them not sorting it out, yeah? It's going to be sorted out, so it's maybe a calculated position. I don't like to get involved in these types of things. I've learnt better. I've been burnt out of control. I remember buying companies that moved down 20% and they went up the next day 7%. So it was like this, 20%, up 7%, I think. That's right. I bought that dip. I'm a king. I'm the best. And then the next day it was underneath. So with technology, it's probably the only sector that you can afford to take that kind of thing. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And Diddy is certainly not one that I like that much. What other ones did you have there? You had another one that said TME. Okay, so let's have a look at TME, 10 Cent Music. 10 Cent Music, a little bit different. So 10 Cent Music is now in accumulation phase. So this is a great example of why you don't sometimes get involved in the initial drop-off. So this dropped for consistent amount of time. It got crushed. There's the dead cat bounce, which is that 7% I was talking about before, where you become thinking you're the king and the best. Then it comes back down and you think, oh no. Then it goes up, gives you false hope, and you buy more because you're like, that's right, I was right. Remember, it's all about extracting maximum value from your psychology, and you are your own worst enemy. And then we get back down and we start to accumulate. This is the time that you put it on your chart and you wait for the accumulation to be breached. And when that occurs, that's when all of the rest of the market comes in. And usually you'll see volume start to spike into the breakout. We haven't seen that on something like 10 Cent Music just yet. BTC short slightly creeping up in the last 24 hours again, says Harry Bowman. Yeah, BTC shorts is pretty important. So if it is creeping, oh yeah, a little bit of creep. The whale's starting to get a little bit more short here. Probably nothing to worry about. Usually when the whales truly get into it, they explode it out of the ballpark. See this? See how fast it starts moving? So at this stage, not fast enough to be worried. But you know what? You should pay attention. If you're not paying attention to BTC shorts, you got to do it. If you trade crypto, you've got to do it. All right, we'll do Nike. NKE 160. Pretty good. I only just found out about these slippers that cost like $700 today. I don't know why I didn't know about them. $700 slippers. Not made by Nike, but ridiculous. Yeah, $160. I mean, definitely great result here for them. It's a risk-reward kind of base that you're doing at this stage. So do you continue to follow the breakout and find like a moving average deal that you like? I mean, it is probably starting to lose some momentum. I think best case here, you're looking at like a 166, 170, and it just hit 160 psychological. Yeah. I feel like if it's just hitting this 160, that's exactly the area where it'll probably look for some sell-off. But your guess is as good as mine. It's not a stock that I own. It's doing good. Human hair slippers? Nah. Definitely not those. Neo. Ali Reza says, Neo. Okay, let's have a look at Neo for the community. You guys love this stock way too much. All right. 2.44% down. So pre-market 49.17. So we hit 50. Didn't really find that much buying pressure. Neo is tough. 20 moving average still quite far away. What if it came down to 48? Do we like it at 48? I mean, I like the recovery story. This was my last line I put in. I never even put in the 65 line. Because I felt like if it was going to do it, it was probably pretty quick, pretty fast. So it actually already hit down here. Yeah, I think this is a pretty important level for it. This kind of like 47.50 to 48.50 level. It's got to start bouncing off here. Let's have a look at the weekly. So weekly closed really well. I mean, I wouldn't even bother trading. It's just not for me. At these levels, I don't see a statistical advantage. If you like the stock, would I be concerned? Probably not, because it's just having a nice little pullback on its way up through what has been a very, very, very good trend. And you've still got your big backup of 47.50. But I think a lot of the community and everyone, we need to talk about this. It's not so much that you see a trade every day on something or you see a high statistical chance. Not every day will there be something. And sometimes you've got to look at a stock and say, hey, I missed it. You know, I'm not going to get involved in that. And I've just got to recognize that I need it to come down more. Maybe that's with the CRISPR stocks. You know, the CRISPR stocks went crazy last week, and I'm very happy about that. But at the same time, am I going to buy more CRISPR stocks at the current price? No. Why would I do it? I'm just not going to do it. Brandon Lynn, $1. Thank you very much for the donation, Brandon. Appreciate it as always. Also, big shout out to the 205 members we got here on YouTube. I do appreciate each and every one of you. We broke through 200 last week from the members, and that's just, phenomenal stuff. Thank you so much. Now, I promised you before that I'd show you some Wyckoff. And this is actually a very, almost a perfect case scenario for a Wyckoff distribution. You've got your false breakout. You've got another kind of false maximum extraction breakout. Then you've got a series of lower peaks here. And you've got some coiling consolidation, which could, of course, breach through this 2581. And if that happens, where do we go, guys? Let's see if it makes sense. $24. Now, in America, you won't be able to trade this stock, so don't worry about it. But I just wanted to show you that, in my opinion, with the 2050 cross on the daily to the downside, with the kind of signal that's showing here, even with the nice, beautiful move that's gone through financials, it kind of looks like one. Yeah, I reckon you could draw it over the top and you would see it. So this is the type of thing that I like to spot. Specifically, it's all about this one, the false break. The false break to me shows me the perfect opportunity in Wyckoff theory. And I don't care about Wyckoff theory. I care about the psychology of the market. And if you're extracting cash from people and you do an extraction, which is basically creating a false breakout narrative here, and you do it again, what have you done? You've taken money from poor people that have accidentally gotten to the wrong price. And this is maximum extraction. And when we do maximum extraction, you better believe that the theory starts to play out. Mark Wilkins says oil reversal. Yeah, so US oil ran up after the OPEC. You guys know what I feel about this. I mean, I celebrated all over the place when it hit, 70? I celebrated here at 74, and I celebrated ultimately at 70, 75, 76. I'm kind of done with oil. You guys know this. I don't, I'm happy that it's got up here. I think the community did amazing, and I'm very, very, proud of what we did in terms of the TA here. I thought we really knocked it out of the ballpark together as a community. But the problem is do I really like buying this level? No. Do I believe in oil over the next couple of years? I don't. And it's not so much even if you say, oh, well, oil's not going to be stopped used and blah, blah, blah. Of course, I don't really think it's not going to be used. What I think is that these countries that rely on oil, they're going to have to make some money. It's a big part of their economy. And I know at one point in the future, OPEC will get together and they'll be like, guys, we've got to get money. We need more money. And they'll do what they always do, which is manipulate it up and down. I'm not interested in playing that game. The recovery to me is in play. But the higher oil is and the longer it stays high, the more electric vehicles will take over the world. And the faster the rate. Because what's going to happen is the general mum and dad out there is going to go out and they're going to say, damn, that gas is expensive. I don't want to buy that gas in my new car. I'm going to buy an electric car because it's cheap. And ultimately, who's going to make that decision? The families. Ultimately, who's your biggest one? It's probably the families. That's your biggest consumer out there. Matthew Harris, super chatting $5 Australian. Could you show us the example of the Wyckoff theory you were talking about earlier? Matthew, I actually did. So that was NAB. Thank you very much for the donation. But yeah, that was the one I was talking about. Tom, did you take your oil profits to buy the puffer jacket? That's right. That's right. I did do that. Keep going higher, oil, says Gotham Bags. Yes, all the Teslas. Tom needs one. I went into the Tesla store on the weekend. I got to say, crap service. Crap. Very disappointed. Wouldn't even let me look at the car. Because it was school holidays, they said. That was the excuse. I was like, oh, come on, man. Come on, man. And then I heard, I stood there for so long and these people were just yabbering on about how they were going to buy 3 of them. And I was like, no, you're not, bro. You're not going to buy 3. You're not even going to buy 1. So, yeah, it looked good, but yeah, less than impressed, I got to say. The guy couldn't even tell me how long, if something happened to the car, what would happen afterwards in Australia. Because I know the aftercare service here in Australia is meh. In America, it's probably pretty good. But here in Australia, oh my God, it's so bad from what I understand. Someone asked me about Telstra. This is really in-depth. If you're in the community, you can ask me that question. So we'll follow Telstra there. Let's start to look through some of our stocks though, guys. We've only got 23 minutes to the open. Thank you very much to the 1,350 people that we've got joining us. In general, we believe that the stock market today is looking pretty good for the Nasdaq. Fang stocks probably still leading through there. Stocks like Square probably could have a little bit of a turnaround. Basically, this is Bitcoin price reliant, but I do think that these little resistances and supports show us something. So we have a daily long leg doji. You guys know what I think about that. We've got a 245 kind of resistance, and if we start scrolling down to the 1 hour, this is where I think the buyers will fully get more committed to Square and then push it. So 245 into 250 resistance. It could be a little like day trade for some people in there. And then, of course, movement up would be ideal. For the downside, anything under this 237.50 is not going to be good for Square. That's creating a bad situation. We've got a peak, we've got a trough, we've got a lower peak, and then we'll have a lower trough. And you guys know I hate that. It's not good. Truly Messiah says, Tom, you can't expect Elon to be there. I thought he was. I thought he might be on a screen. Like telling me how great SpaceX was or something. Why do you wear the jacket? It's damn cold. It's damn cold. Probably could turn on the heater, yeah. It's all good. Let's have a look here at Zillow. Zillow still doing nothing for us, so we'll have to come back to that on another day. Airbnb, whatever. Airbnb, I mean, come on. What is this? We still fail to breach the 154. We are not interested in it until it gets past that level. Apple, we've talked about this one. It looks pretty good on the chart. The old snowflake stuck in our range on the bottom end. So snowflake straight back into support here. Multitude of big bearish days here. Hopefully it gets firing up. It's right back on the support, so that'll be interesting to see. End phase. Now this is big bullish candle, big bearish candle, probably indecision here at the peak. Great stock, great level, this 175. I wouldn't even mind it to come back down there as the 20 kind of comes up. So yeah, with end phase, tough to trade today, but certainly still good. ARK-K, hovering around that resistance, makes sense. ARK-G, hovering around the resistance, again, makes sense. CRISPR, so this will be down here a little bit today. Looking for CRISPR to get, I'm not sure if it will, but I'm looking for CRISPR to get back down to the 138. You guys know I love these CRISPR style stocks at the moment. PLTR, probably at decent support actually, PLTR. So this 24, 27, 24.50 area had quite a lot of trade through it. So if you look at the 1 hour chart, you'll notice here you have like a resistance, a resistance, a resistance, a resistance. It's just, it goes on and on and on. So is there going to be some buyers at this point? I would expect so for PLTR. And it is a very popular retail stock. So when it starts firing, of course, the retailers get into it. Matthew Oldfield, super chat, $10. Thank you very much, man. Are the puffer pants real? No. And if so, they deserve a Friday session outed. Oh, Tyrant doesn't know what he's talking about, man. Okta in daily uptrend bounced off 240 support, an uptrend line with 200 MA. Any educational thoughts? Matthew, we'll have a look at it in just a second. Keep going through some of these stocks, though. AMD. Now, this is one, and we haven't even talked about semiconductors yet. But AMD is one that's been firing hard. So we know that these guys are rebuying their shares. We know we had great breakout, and congratulations to people that got into AMD. Oh, guys, it's been good. It's been a great run here on this one. And I still think there's more to go. Now, I got sent a little trend line that they drew like this. And they said, is that good, Tom? And I said, yeah, it's fine. But where are our problems? Well, considering how much it's firing and considering that increased volume down here, see the increased volume last couple of days as well, I feel like it could be on like a little bit of an epic run. Maybe it goes up to like the 100 and then breaches it and goes a little bit higher. Similar to the other big tech stocks, it seems to be firing at the right time. So AMD is doing quite well. Zoom, nasty candle here on the Friday. Wait to see more. CRM, actually good breakout. This is pretty good. I mean, it's not going to give you 25% returns and stuff, but yeah, that's a nice daily close on the Friday session for Salesforce. Huge amounts of little higher lows showing me that there is buyers there, a lot of wicks, and finally a closure above. It's the type of thing we look for. Long leg doji, decision made. Long leg doji, decision made. So CRM, Salesforce, certainly moving through. Then we've got Tencent, doesn't really matter. Disney, don't think that's doing enough for us yet. We're waiting for the 180 there on Disney. Beam, too far gone if you're not in that one. QCOM. Can't say I hate this chart. I quite like semiconductors at the moment. I feel like the whole semiconductor market is looking pretty good. This is the one that looks pretty hot. Let's have a look now at Okta for you. I don't really understand Okta's business that well. So you're saying it's in daily uptrend and bouncing off moving averages. I would say yes, you're correct. 2050 cross, perfect. 200 daily moving average, yes. And do we have, where's the weekly? Let's have a look at the weekly close. And we've got the previous weekly close being quite bullish and still above the weekly 20. Yeah, this is decent. Let's go back to the daily for a second. I wouldn't say my favorite chart, but right on the level that you expect it to find that buying pressure there, Matthew, because you've got all the moving averages and you've got that kind of consolidation after what was a very nice move. Target levels, of course, somewhere around the 280 for Okta. David G coming in with $5 Australian. TA on Ecom, please, Tom. Yeah, we'll take a look at that in just a few moments, man. Ecom. Not bad. Already I like. Sometimes you see things and you go, makes sense. This is a decent little level here. Not bad at all. Okay, so we've got resistance, breaching into hopefully a breakout resistance. It's the type of thing that I like to see. My biggest preference with waiting for a breakout is it gets kind of 80%. And actually does this. Usually that's actually a pretty good signal that you're about to break. And you start scaling in. Now, it came back a little bit harder, which is sneaky of it. But yeah, you're waiting for a breach out above this level. That would be around 26.25, 26.30. And when that happens, you'd be aiming for about $29. And then also, you could even take the whole range and extrapolate that out, and then you'd be aiming for about $31.50, $32. Not bad. Decent. Good consolidation. Good start move here. Looking for the breach. Good luck, David G. All right, it's come that time, guys, where we start to load in for the market open. Let's have a quick look here at the US 500. Let's go to the 4 hour. 4 hour. Pretty far away from the 20. Interesting. Very tough to pick the US 500 overall. I think you're really focusing on sectors more than anything else at the moment, which we've discussed. US 100, let's have a quick look at that. Looks like it's kind of flagging here on the US 100. You can see that it's got a little pullback and a breach in the fake market futures, which is actually calling for further bullish pressure. So the Nasdaq looks way stronger than the SP 500, not just because it's coming in with 0.3%, but also because it's got a little flag with a decent pole. And I was talking to Ty about this today. This is the type of thing that you certainly do want to be looking at. And yeah, it looks like it's kind of setting up for a bit of bullish pressure here today. Go over and we'll load up Tesla for you guys. You know, 700 is the most important point for the bulls. Shizzy Whiz Nut super chatted $2. 8 degrees centigrade in Melbourne. Yeah, that's correct. In Melbourne, it is quite cold. Buy Tom a coffee. Thank you very much, Shizzy. Appreciate it. And then we got Leonard Lim coming in with Singapore, $5. SMIC, please, Tom. We'll take a look at it very, very soon, man. QCOM needs to fly to 150. Yes, that's right. $7-Eleven coffee is good, man. 7-Eleven coffee, it's actually bad, but it's $1. And you can't say no to $1 coffee. It is bad, but it's $1. Come on now. Let's have a quick look at Beyond. I want to check Beyond out in the pre-market. This is one that we had on speculation list last week. Let me check this Beyond. Weekly close, nasty. You know, it's risky. But there is still discussion to be had here about Beyond. Probably needs to make or break probably for today or tomorrow in the markets. It needs to start firing and needs to start firing quickly. But this is correct. Leonard Lim, Singapore, $5. SMIC. Let's have a look. Krauser says semiconductors is a US company. Yeah, semiconductors in general, though, are doing quite well. SMIC. This is Swiss Market Index Total Return. Huh. It's like a little channel up here on the daily. That's a beautiful little channel. Beautiful resistances, triple. Beautiful supports in the middle right now. You should know, hopefully, how to trade these things. You take the distance between the two. Take the breach. Buy and sell the top and the bottom. That's a nice channel, man. In the direction of the trend. Obviously, you don't want to sell the top unless you're taking profit because you're in an uptrend overall. That's your expectations there, 27.5. Not bad. Oh, Simic Hong Kong. Sorry. SMIC. Whatever that is, it wasn't too bad. Okay, 981. Oh, that doesn't look the same. This code looks unfortunately bad. So instantly I would go with that's a breach down. Or is it? Not yet. The 11th hour for this one. Huge amounts of lower peaks coming into it, showing weakness. And like the Hong Kong market at the moment, this is a semiconductor in the Hong Kong market. It's right at support. So it really needs to turn around right now. It's on support. It has bad negative tude coming into it. And to really find buying pressure, it's going to need to breach past these series of lower peaks. So you're going to need a big bullish move off here. And ideally, it will get past like a 23 plus. And then start the road to recovery. That is not a strong chart, unfortunately. I'd actually wait for it to get above 24 and then take the participation phase back up into the 28s and stuff. Not a strong chart at this stage. On support, yes. Good, no. Weekly as well, closing right around the right time. Yeah, that's right. The seasons here in Australia are opposite. So think of it as when you guys are partying in summer, we're freezing cold. If you live in the southern part of Australia, and when you guys are freezing cold and you got the snowy Christmas, we're in a heat wave. It's the complete opposite. Southern, northern. That's the big thing here. All right, we are 9 minutes off the open. We expect, of course, US 100 to be the strongest index of the day and continue to hopefully be so. We've got some good stocks coming around here. Particularly, we're looking at things like QCOM and a few others in terms of semiconductors. They're the type of the plays that we're looking at. And I would say that hopefully we can start to see some things fire. But it's a time to be cautious in the markets, because while we do believe that July is going to be strong, there are signs telling us now, for the first time in a while, that we're starting to get to the tippity top. And we'll be at the tippity top probably in only a matter of percentage points. So it's a long time to wait, but you've got to think, do I trade right now? Do I scalp? Or do I invest? And you've got to make a decision based on those factors. We've got Kay Kennedy coming in with a massive super chat, guys. Give this person some claps in the community. My God, $49.99 American. That's a whole lot of coffees. Thank you very much. Hey, Tom, it's Chris from the Discord. Here's the super chat as promised. Appreciate it, man. Put it back into upgrades for FX Evolution or get breaks. Appreciate it, man. This is for you and the community. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you so much. Kay Kennedy, appreciate you, and the community does as well. Thank you very much for a very generous donation of $49.99. Look, we'll put it into some upgrades. There are upgrades I want to do to the chat, to the actual stream. And I think we'll probably, why not? Let's put some super chats towards that. So you're going towards some upgrades we'll put through soon, and it'll be awesome, Kay Kennedy. Good luck and continue to kick it out of the ballpark. Big Dipper, $2. Cardano ADA, please stay warm. No worries, we'll do. Let's have a look here at Cardano for you. We are 7 minutes away from the market. We will dial in. As always, chat, community, you pick the last one. I've got Tesla. I've got US 100, which we'll be watching into the open. And you guys can pick the others. Pick two of them. That's all right. You guys can pick them. ADA here. Let's have a look. Big discussion on the weekend about the strength in ADA. I think it's warranted. ADA, kind of like Ethereum. Ethereum looks a lot better than Bitcoin right now from the charts. ADA is trading above the resistance. See here on the daily. It's trapped a little bit. Let's go down the 2 hour. I mean, it does look much better. 145.6. Let's go 8 hours, my favorite time frame in crypto. Nice. 2050 cross. Long leg doji. Decision made. Buying pressure again. I mean, all signs point to more bullishness than bearishness here. Now, the question then becomes, where do we target? I think 160. It just makes sense. You've already hit basically 150 before. If it's going to go up, it's going to go for the 160. And I know there's like, you could say, 8 hour 200 here. Don't worry about that too much. So yeah, 160 would be my target. And then second target, of course, upwards of like a 180, 183. It's nice though. 2050 cross. This is a real deal. Like, it hasn't done it for a while. You can see over here. Series of higher lows. Probably even have a little trend line. It's coming through there. Not bad. I specifically like the fact that it's holding above this zone, holding above these moving averages. Your teller is going to be if you breach under here. That's going to be bad. But at this stage, long leg doji, decision made, bullish. Hopefully now move towards 160. Again, watch Ethereum incredibly closely there, Big Dipper. Kay Kennedy, shout out to you. Heat up your apartment by... I don't have no apartment, guys. Gotta have those houses, yeah? By mining Bitcoin. That's a good idea. But I stream. It already makes the room pretty hot. It's just really cold, It's cold. I got cold bones right now. Okay, let's get the US 100 in. Let's have a quick look here. 0.35%, so it's continuously moving. You can see the new breakout resistance. Let's get the Tesla on board, and we'll see what you guys are saying. Kay Kennedy bought me an entire 7-Eleven. That's right. He did. He bought me the entire 7-Eleven. And don't worry, I might even share with you guys my favorite coffee blends because it's certainly not 7-Eleven. I make my own coffee here, guys. I love baristering. It's awesome. That's the way to go. Square. Okay, Square was one that you guys wanted. Let's watch that into the open here. Looking at 241. Bitcoin now recovered to 34,271. That's much better than where it was before. And I guess we'll watch Diddy. Why not? Let's watch Diddy because it got absolutely wrecked in the pre-market. So we are 3 minutes away here from the market open. We've got Diddy set. We'll set that on the 1 minute chart because it could be quite interesting to see how this thing opens. We've got Square set here. We've got Tesla. You guys want me to have a quick look at SPCE. All right. Is it actually moving in the morning? Virgin Galactic Holdings up 1.69%. So as expected, that whole Richard Branson going into space thing didn't really do anything. This stock, I'll say this. I have no faith in it. Look, I'll just put it down. I'll put the line in the sand. If you know what you're doing and you're getting into it to make some quick money, fair enough. But this, I do not have, I got to say, I'm going to put the no faith. And you might hate me for that, but, you know, that's just me. I don't like any of the space stocks right now. I find it too early. It reminds me of 3D printing. It reminds me of AI technology investment back in the early 2010, 2012 kind of area. It reminds me of marijuana when it first came out and went like ballistic. This is too early for me. But look, that's just my opinion. You guys kick it out of the ballpark. Do I see any TA here on the chart? Not really. You know, my kind of opinion was that we were getting, you know, near the top around here. And this was just a little bit of blow-off action due to, of course, I'm going to space faster than you are, Bezos. You think you can get into space faster than me? Hell no. Be careful in space. 2 minutes to go. Let's get a little bit of the party started here in the market. We've got to get a little bit of intro going on here. We're 2 minutes away. We've set up. We've got some good position concepts. We obviously have semiconductors as one of the things I think is firing. We've got the fang stocks in general that are doing pretty well and the US 100. But again, it's time for caution in the markets. Over the next coming weeks, I expect some fireworks to occur, especially with this velocity that we've got going on here. All right, let's get this thing on the screen. All right, guys, I wish everyone a great Tuesday trading session. I hope you're all kicking some ass over there. Let's do it. Kevin, I agree. Oh, we're open, guys. Whoops. Whoopsie. All right, we have opened up and I missed it. That's all right. Opening bell. Ding, 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 ding. Kevin has a funny comment. You hate airlines because they could crash. Space, good luck to you. That's true. That's why I probably never invest in space, yeah? But that's okay. You make those decisions. I like things that make some sense to me. And right now, floating off into space, and I like Star Trek and I like Star Wars, don't get me wrong. I don't know if we're there just yet from a commercial monetary profitability standpoint. So we've got Square coming in at 242.11, up 0.43%. Got Tesla 0.71. Diddy did open down 25%. Wow, that's bad. US 100 up 14,776. Let's have a look around the markets now. We've got gold 1809 pulling back slightly. We're looking for a pullback, well, daily close around this level, and then a pullback hopefully back into 1800 would be pretty sweet. That's the kind of area we're looking for. Zillow, Snow, ARK-K, ARK-G, CRISPR, they all open pretty okay. CRISPR is expected to open down. Barber, unfortunately, down 1.51. That's not good. TME, wow, 4.82% down. Nasty stuff. Beam, Oh, wow. TIGR. Yeah, when the government gets involved in the stock market, it's not good, is it? TIGR down 10.8%. Bugger. Those Chinese stocks, they're certainly feeling the heat this morning. Even Baidu down 4. Yeah, the government intervention is just too much at this stage. Hopefully that does start to clear its way through in the next couple of days. There's another one. Look at this, 8.45% down. Beyond, flat, Beam, BLNK, AMC up 6% off news. I believe they scrapped their 25 million share offering. That's pretty decent news for it. That sent it back up. But yeah, wow. It really is all about the fang, all about the big tech stocks today, as we kind of suspected. Look at Apple firing at 0.81%. Let's have a look now at Amazon. Let's get off this for a second here. Let's have a look at Amazon. Look at it go. 1.88%. Boom. Strong plays here on the fang stocks. And yeah, I can't say that I guess it was unexpected for that to go well. We also got Square firing pretty hard here early due to the Bitcoin move, and also because it was stupid. Shouldn't have been down that much. Let's have a quick look around here at other markets. I'm interested now in the semiconductor index. Semiconductor EAT. Oh, yeah. Nice. Great stuff, guys. Semiconductors up 0.76%. May not look exciting, but that's not bad. That is not bad. Barber selling hard. Yeah, these are all of the stocks, of course, in China, unfortunately. Look, it's really unfortunate. This is what happens when governments intervene in markets. And it probably stuffs a lot of the key technicals. Now, is Barber in trouble yet? I don't think so. Because realistically, it's still not underneath the supports or anything like that from the recovery standpoint. If you love the stocks, this should clean itself out eventually. But I think we need to be very well aware that this is the type of thing that when you've got a market that is scared of government intervention and you've also got that repo stuff going on, that's a bit of an issue. Crazy moves on the NAS. Yeah, overall the NAS really is moving hard. Let's just quickly look through here at the percentage changes, guys. And we've got CrowdStrike coming out hard. Another one, the cybersecurity company just keeps firing 260, 2.98%. You guys know I love Net. Cloudflare would be doing all right as well. Zscaler 2.64%. Amazon 1.74%. Zoom 1.6%, 1.7%. What else is doing? Square doing well, good. Shopify, Nvidia, unstoppable Nvidia. And Enphase, what else? Roku, pretty good. Downside, unfortunately, mostly it looks like some of the banks, some of the biotechs, which have just gone way too well, and then, of course, the Chinese stocks. Let's have a look at the speculation list. What's big today? We've got Oxygen up 11.38%, AMC up 3.56% now. Still not sure. I'm not convinced that AMC is still finding huge strength. I'm going to be looking closely at the daily close for that, and then we'll talk about tomorrow. And on the downside, we have Clover Health. So obviously Clove, Clean, CLNE down huge. Beyond Meat now down. GameStop, CRISPR. Yeah. It seems like a lot of these squeeze stocks are the ones that are getting hit, everyone. They're the ones that are getting hit. When would you take profits on Amazon? Well, David, I'm not going to tell you exactly when to do anything. Obviously, you've got to make your own decisions. But when you think about it, let's have a look at Amazon on a chart here. And it's kind of cool to see these stocks firing because these are the big stocks that a lot of people do have in their portfolios. When you're thinking about it, if it breaches out here, which it is, that's an all-time high. So congratulations, Amazon holders, you've got an all-time high. What's the aim? Well, the aim is probably, I know that sounds crazy, it's like a $3,800 to $4,000. Now, why is that the aim? Well, because we had a massive range for quite a long time. Remember, you look at Apple. Apple's calling for a pretty decent move. Google is calling for a pretty decent move. Microsoft is making its way up to the $300 bracket. And then we've got Amazon firing through here with the Nasdaq going up to the fabled land of hopefully the trend line. So we go over here to this. And yeah, I mean, we've got 0.34% up. We've still got a few percentage points here. And to get it there, we might see a 5 to 10% move across some of these big stocks just to push it there, because the rest might be going down. And then the big fang stocks are the ones that are like, ooh, we might not have to pay as much tax. They go through. So David, good luck. But yeah, I do think that it's breaking out at this stage. So there is more potential technical room in there. Anoop says IWM is down hard. Yeah, the rotation here is certainly into the big stocks. We are talking big stocks, and we are talking pretty much just the technology, I would say. Semiconductors, technology in general, they're the ones that really are firing hard here. PLTR also coming off support, which is good. But yeah, the standouts of today so far have obviously been all of those things like Amazon, I'm sure Microsoft, CrowdStrike, those kind of ones. Sean says, awesome chat and incredible stream. US 30 taking a decent nosedive. Yes, US 30 hit the resistance on the Friday session. So it's right. Look at that. Boom. Straight into resistance. Closure, wick, closure, sell off. It really is all about technology today. Okay, guys. Well, we'll see you tomorrow for another live stream. I've, of course, got a video out in the morning, my time, which will be in the afternoon US. And as everyone knows, we pop them out daily for our market commentary. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button if you guys enjoy it, and good luck out there in the markets today. I'm hoping for... I'm really hoping for a bit of a big one here in the crypto market. Imagine if the crypto market can start firing 2,400 plus ETH. Was this 2381? Come on now. Just need to breach out from there, and then we can start firing. And then, maybe we've got some 2,800 ETH incoming. Makes sense. Big tech stocks firing. Beautiful stuff as well. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now. I'll just say this, Lunch Money has a great comment, little bit of snippet of information. Pays to actually look at the breakdowns. Really should do that during one of the live streams. Says Lunch Money says IWM is a bank stock weighted, so it has to go down if the 10-year treasury yield is falling. Yeah, I mean, basically weighting of indices is super important to understand. It's why actually I'm going to be doing a big piece on how I think the US 500 is maybe not going to be as good as people think over the next decade. Now, I'm not saying the US market won't be, but I think there's going to be some massive destruction in the SP 500, and that destruction is going to mean that you have maybe 300 stocks going up and 200 stocks going down as you see big rotation. This is what happens in most economic recessions into recoveries. The economic stuff, and then you also get what they call the lost decade, which often happens on indice investment. I think we're getting to that point. We'll talk about it more in the coming episodes. It's going to be good, guys. Catch you soon.